Hello, hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sajeev. I look after Aruba business unit of Alpha Data. On behalf of Alpha Data, I would like to welcome you all. Thank you for joining for this session, for the business continuity session from Alpha Data and Aruba together. And I hope you all are fine this pandemic situation and all are keeping good health. I'm sure that Alpha Data, there is not much introduction required from my, Alpha Data. As this is a 45-year-old company started in 1981. We have 1,200 employees and esteemed clients of 3,000 plus esteemed clients and a turnover of 1.3 billion dirhams for the last fiscal year. So this is a brief about Alpha Data. I would start with a brief of Alpha Data and its relationship with Aruba. Then I have my good friend from Aruba, Fehmi. He will be taking over on the products and solutions and other things. So Alpha Data is a technology company with 1,000 plus employees and a very esteemed organization with credibility and integrity for the last 40 years. You can see that we are actually not only a system integration company, we cover from cybersecurity, IoT, big data analytics, cloud, artificial intelligence, and modern workspace. So a 10-key integration and solution consulting company from the prestigious and all the leading vendors. We represent all the leading vendors and it's a higher level of partnerships. So we represent even as you see that IoT and big data analytics is the need of the hour and so we represent a lot of the leading enterprise, and Aruba is one of the company where we are have a all-time relationship. And I will take you to the other slides. So we, Alpha Data as a company, we represent networking, telecom, enterprise computing, collaboration, infrastructure cabling, ELV, AV, and service and consulting. So we have a highly skilled engineers on these verticals. And we have experienced consulting engineers who not only provide the solutions, they have the 10-key consulting approach from networking, from cabling to the layer 7. So that includes networking, enterprise collaboration, and infrastructure ELV and service consulting. As you see the Alpha Data, we are a one-stop solution company from end-to-end 10-key solutions plus 1,200 skilled resource pool. And strategically, we are aligned with a lot of the leading vendors. So we provide a 10-key best-of-breed solutions from the leading vendors. And as a company, a 40-year-old company, we are financially very stable. And you must have seen that during the crisis, you must have seen a lot of companies come and go. But as a company, Alpha Data, we have financially very stable and proven track record. And our engineers and employees are probably you would see 15, 20 years experience guys on the same company. So you will not see new faces on and off. So that's the advantage of Alpha Data compared to the other companies, system integration companies. And as far as Aruba and Alpha Data is concerned, we are a platinum partner of Aruba. Since the acquisition of Aruba by HP, 2015 May onwards, we are the platinum partner of Aruba. And HP, I'm sure that you must be knowing, we are actually the #1 partner in the region and in the country as well for the server and storage. And Aruba is actually, we represent a 10-key from switching, wireless, networking, ClearPass, and I'm sure that there is an announcement yesterday. You must have seen that. I will leave it to my colleagues from Aruba to announce that, a takeover announcement from Aruba. So this is the partnership level between Alpha Data and Aruba. And you would see that we have more than 250 enterprise customers of Aruba, Alpha Data together. That is more than 2,000 plus access point, 1,000 plus licenses or on the ClearPass, and a 10-key solution from switching, wireless, NAC, and now recently the SD-WAN also from the Aruba perspective. And our engineers are highly skilled and certified from Aruba products. from turnkey from the analytics, wireless analytics, ClearPass, and Aruba SD-WAN solutions. So we have an experienced technical resources to support our customers. And this is all about Alpha Data. And I'm sure that if you have any questions, you can ask. We have a session after the question answer session. So please raise the questions. And I will ask my colleague Fehmi to take over from here. Fehmi, handing over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Sajeev. So welcome everyone to this session. It's so nice to see so many familiar names in the list of participants and attendees. As Sajeev mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to post them in the Q&A tool, and we'll answer them either in the box over there or live on air if we can. So today I'm joining Alpha Data to present the continuation on business continuity. So we're continuing with our business continuity initiatives with Alpha Data. My name is Fehmi Sakkal. I'm the consulting systems engineer in Aruba, for those who don't know me. And we have a plethora of topics to discuss today. So for the sake of time, I'm just gonna jump right in. Today, would any one of you have had COVID-19 in their business continuity plan? Because usually when we are doing risk management, we would take some natural disaster like an earthquake into consideration when we're doing BCP, when we're studying HA and DC and DR setups and so on. So a pandemic like the COVID-19, which hasn't happened or taken place since the past 80 or 100 years, would have had a great impact on a risk management and the BCP exercise, but the occurrence or the probability of occurrence would be very, very negligible or very little. That's why many of us would have overlooked it. Unfortunately, we've seen the big impact of such a pandemic, and this impact has been touched in all of these industries that we're talking about. So whether we're talking about home users or SMEs, SMBs, retail, hospitality, healthcare, education, higher education, enterprise, public sector, oil and gas, all of these have been in industrial and manufacturing. So all of these have been affected by this pandemic. And this is why we need to look at what everyone is doing now to get back to the new norm. So we already kicked off with business continuity for crisis management. We talked earlier about providing remote access points to provide connectivity, which is one of the basic requirements for crisis management so that operations in their least form can go on. Now we're talking about transitioning back to the new normal with a return to the office and additional business recovery requirements, as well as operating in a new norm state with new norm requirements. So what are these requirements? I can discuss each and every one of those industries, but just for the sake of time and discussion, I'll give you some challenges that have come up with retail. So for example, in retail, a lot of lost revenue was there. A lot of revenue that was lost from the brick and mortar setup, from the regular supermarket, grocery, department store, shopping center, and any other form and setup of retail has been lost to maybe online, or just to the simple fact that people want to save some cash flow and money. Keeping the doors open by maintaining operations, working on supply chain, supply and demand. How do we plan now our inventory? How do we store it? How much inventory do we need to be on the shelves? How much inventory do we need to be in our stock and maybe in our dark stores and so on? As well as employee loss, with many people repatriating, many people facing workforce reduction and so on. So these are the new norm challenges of retail. Let's take another industry, which is healthcare. So the impending surge that was faced in treating COVID-19 and non-COVID-19 cases. The lack of space and supplies when we talk about personal protection equipment and other supplies required for treatment. The change of the work environment. So traditionally working on site for remote calls for diagnosis, remote calls for remote care and other use cases. Maintaining excellence. So again, also the same case that we've seen in retail, avoiding losses, maintaining revenue growth and managing the costs. With all of these, overheads. So these are just two industries. I will not go all over them, but I've collected those into multiple, a collective of challenge and needs. So the basic requirements is to address safety, employee safety, user safety, shopper safety, guest safety. So user safety at the end of it. Budgeting, planning proper resources, maintaining operations, flexibility of the working model, flexibility of the solutions that are supporting the working model, enabling cloud solutions in a fast manner, maintaining performance and experience, maintaining security with the flexibility and the cloud, with bringing in new solutions to identify those new operational needs. We need to maintain security, maintaining insights on where the resource planning, where the budget planning, where these operations have been going, and also maintaining innovation to meet new requirements. For example, retail has shifted from brick and mortar setup into BOPIS, buy online, pick up in store, at the minimum form of it, if it's not home delivery or some other kind of fulfillment, right? So these are the main challenges and needs. And in today's session, this is where today we want to respond to return to the office and to return to work challenges, as well as the new business restrictions and needs for the new norm, and show how Aruba solutions can support your needs through multiple products and solutions that have come together to answer those needs. And this is where we jump into how we have now aligned our solutions to support the new norm. And this is by ensuring the safety of the campus. So the least concerns that was voted for will be the first. We'll go there. Extending operations, so the flexibility of operations, different operating models. Maintaining the user experience, which was the third from below, and according to your rating. Including in maintaining experience, also we'll look at maintaining security, which is the most important for our audience today. Simplifying management, and the second most important, which is optimizing spending, whether it's on the cost of the infrastructure or on the cost of services. So let's start by ensuring safety. And this is a big factor because today employees in many cases are afraid to go back to work. And end users are afraid to go back to the environment that is the main income stream for them, which is retail, the hospital and healthcare, the hotel and hospitality, and so on. So we need to regain the confidence of users. And this is done by putting in place social distancing regulations, by notifying users of violations for these regulations. So we're talking about touchless registration, proximity monitors and alerts, fever monitors for people on the entrances of any venue or any business or any office, real-time utilization, real-time and historical utilization reporting for location tracing, contact tracing, policy scenario modeling, physical access control and asset tracking, people tracking, and different solutions that will increase the efficiency of return to the office and guaranteeing the safety of the user. So the technologies could be multiple technologies. They could be ranging through Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, wearables, using different technologies, cameras, and so on. And this is where Aruba comes in with the access point now acting as an IoT gateway with an embedded USB, Zigbee, and Bluetooth 5 radios that can connect multiple of these devices across different solutions. And these solutions, this is a subset of the vendors that we integrate with out of the box for asset tracking, for environmental monitoring, for touch-free operations, for thermal camera imaging, for mother and child tracking, people tracking, you name it. So this is where we are enabling this with our infrastructure. So provided you have the new Wi-Fi 6 access points, this is where you'll find the Zigbee radio, in addition to the USB and Bluetooth 4 radio that you had before on the Wi-Fi 5 APs. Now, out of the box, today Aruba is providing you with location and contact tracing solution over Wi-Fi. So today, if you are an Aruba customer, which I'm sure is the case for the majority of you, where you could have Aruba Wi-Fi, with Aruba Wi-Fi and Airwave, or Aruba Wi-Fi and Airwave plus Central, this is where today you have the facility to get a dashboard for contact and location tracing, which is historical. So that will give you a historical view in case you find a case of an infected individual or an employee. If you in your environment, you can have the HR, security, and safety team get back to the Airwave dashboard, and out of that, you can find this individual and all the other individuals he has come in touch with for the past 24 hours, and all the locations that this individual has been at, so that you can alert the other individuals who have come in touch with this infected person, and also alert operations or the staff for cleaning and disinfecting or locking off those areas that this infected individual has been over there. Now, this solution is to be coupled with other solutions because alone, historical information and Wi-Fi tracing is not very precise, because the precision can be like within 10 or 15 meters. So, but the nice thing is that if you have today Aruba Wi-Fi, Aruba Airwave, you can utilize this solution from Aruba for no added cost. All you need is to upgrade Airwave to a specific image so that it can send the upstream traffic to Central, and you can start monitoring this information and report on it on Aruba Central. Now, we do have ecosystem partners, and with the help of Alpha Data, this is where we design solutions for our customers to enable return to work. One of them is the CX app, where using a mobile interface, a mobile application, we can facilitate desk booking, social distancing, and contact tracing, reporting, and alerts, giving guidance through a workplace playbook and employee communication for awareness, health questionnaire to check the well-being, the presence for the past 7, 14, 28 days, the most recent COVID-19 tested report on every individual through an application, and of course, maintaining confidentiality, in addition to requesting cleaning and maintenance and fixing problems in specific spaces of a campus. iLabs, Ipera, Mobile 72 are all examples of ecosystem partners that leverage the Aruba infrastructure to add proximity notification, social distancing, and contact tracing solutions over our Wi-Fi infrastructure. So again, I'm just going to go through these, because if we need to dive into each of these solutions, we need another hour for each of them. They have lots of features and solutions, and we did run separate workshops with Alpha Data, where they do have the information on each of these, and they can give you specific, like an ecosystem partner specific features in case you want to explore a specific solution from PNT or iLabs or Ipera or Arista or a specific vendor. Now, we do have other partners, like I said, like People and Technology, Arista, that are providing wearables based on Bluetooth, on Wi-Fi, or other technologies, Zigbee, for example, that communicate back through our APs, where you can do people tracking, where you can do asset tracking, where you can do emergency calls, emergency evacuation, and other HRM-related workflows, and also, of course, social distancing and contact tracing related processes and workflows. Add to that, of course, thermal imaging and facial recognition cameras. This is Kohu, from the Kohu Star is one example of the cameras, which connects back to the infrastructure over the Aruba switches. Now, these are all solutions and examples of or subsets of ecosystem partner solutions that, with the help of Alpha Data, we can deploy these for you on site, regardless of the vertical, and of course, highlighting which is the most relevant partner and use case for your industry. Now, how do we extend operation? And this is something that we have enabled through our Wi-Fi portfolio. So today, within your venue, we can extend operation to outside the venue. So for example, to a parking lot, to the thermal gates, where we're connecting those cameras over the switches or Wi-Fi mesh, to an express site or building, a prefab, for example, that has been set up for temporary operation and next to the hospital, as an example. So we can utilize this by extending the physical network over a point-to-point or a mesh setup using simply the outdoor access point, the 377s, the 577s, the 387s for high performance point-to-point setups. So this is just one example, but the other example is the switching portfolio that have come in, because we mentioned before the thermal imaging camera. We need to provide an uplink to the camera back to tap into the network. This is where we're introducing our CX switches. I will not talk about the whole portfolio. I will just mention the 6200 switches, which were the most recent addition to our CX portfolio. And this is where these are layer 2, layer 3 switches with a very simple approach to deployment. So it's a one operating model where you can have different variants of the switch that offer you 370, 740 PoE plus power with 4 1/10, so SFP plus uplinks with VSF, virtual stacking framework, where you don't need to have a special module or a special cable to do the backplane stacking. We can stack on any of the Ethernet or the SFP ports, and it can take up to 8 members in a stack. Now, these switches have been made ready for IoT and dynamic segmentation, and this is where, when we are putting all of those ecosystem solutions and products on our infrastructure, this is where we need to start providing connectivity. Now, we're also extending the operation by SD-WAN. And as you know, we do have our gateways and our branch gateways and the public cloud gateways, where we are enabling SD-WAN, and we are extending this into an SD branch setup now with a collapsed gateway plus switch plus access point and policy manager with ClearPass, where we have a full SD branch deployment. Now, the announcement that Sajeev was mentioning at the beginning was just fresh yesterday with HPE Aruba's acquisition of a company called Silver Peak. And I think most of you who have explored SD-WAN solutions would be familiar with Silver Peak, because it's one of the 2 leaders on Gartner's Magic Quadrants for SD-WAN solutions. Aruba was there. We're moving up slowly, but now with the acquisition of Silver Peak, Aruba will be leading on all networking segments. So when you talk about wired, so unified, wired, wireless, as well as the SD-WAN, Aruba now is in the leader quadrant. We will have more information come on Silver Peak in due time, but for now, it's an intent to acquire, and if everything goes through, it will be finalized by the end of our year, and you will start seeing some technical information soon about it, and we will start seeing it in our market. Personally, I am assuming by sometime in the time frame of Q4 of 2020, so October, November, December. But stay tuned, stay posted for more announcement and information about this. Now, this is where before, when we were enabling remote connectivity, we have come to add this extended operation for over software or hardware. So with the virtual intranet access over the VIA VPN client, or the remote AP previously, or remote IAP VPN setups, now to be complemented with SD-WAN. The beauty of this is that all of these solutions, are now managed on-prem or in the cloud. And this is where Central comes in. So this is where today on Aruba Central, it's no longer to manage an access point or a switch. It is to manage remote access point setups and configuration, to manage even the data center switches, to monitor data center switches, to manage SD branch solution, to manage small campuses and even large campuses, because the scale of Central has now included the CX, the access points, and many other solutions. And now I'm about to go into the other evolution of Central, where we'll talk about it shortly. We'll mention how Central has evolved into our new Aruba Edge Services platform. But before we do that, let's talk about maintaining experiences. So maintaining experience is one of the pillars that you've highlighted. And this starts with maintaining user experience. And this is made possible through the user experience insight sensors, where sensors are placed on site. So there are multiple forms of these sensors. These look like APs or antennas, but they are placed on site to mimic a user device. and to tell you what the user will experience before the user experiences it. So it will do destination testing, application testing, network performance, and connectivity testing, whether on the wired or the wireless, so that on the dashboard, you will see what the user might experience on YouTube, on Netflix, on Office 365, on a specific internal website or external website, or a specific SSID or a specific wired network, before anyone has the opportunity to uh, like say that there's a problem going on for them, because this will enable you to detect a problem and resolve it before the user even feels it. This is, again, to maintain the experience of the user. But also, our network administrators are our main users, because today uh, they will face a big hassle connecting all of these IoT devices, refreshing the infrastructure to put in those new Wi-Fi 6 access points, to put in those new CX switches. And this is where NetEdit, with the benefit of AI-powered operations, comes in. Now you have a single pane of glass to manage day 0 to day 2 operations of your wired infrastructure over NetEdit, all the way from the access to the core, to the data center switches, where you can do zero-touch provisioning, discovery, searching, edit, validating, deploying firmware upgrades, deploying network changes for groups, IDFs, buildings in one shot at a time from NetEdit, with the ability to monitor, notify deviations, changes, track the historical changes of the configuration of the firmware upgrades, do audits, and check the audit trail, as well as troubleshoot and automatically open trouble tickets with third-party tools for your switching infrastructure. So this NetEdit, I have a full presentation on it. It's like a 120 slide presentation that we can talk about. But if you're interested to learn more about NetEdit and its power, I would advise you please to reach out to Alpha Data and see how this could be of relevant use to you, because NetEdit is the way going forward to enable automation and SDN-like operations for the network admin on the wired infrastructure. Now, we do need to connect all of those IoT devices and other operations as well. And maintaining experience does not mean only connectivity, but also security. So both security for our end users and for our infrastructure management. Today, to maintain the experience, we need to maintain a high standard of security. And this is the number one concern that you have highlighted in the poll. So this is where ClearPass Device Insight comes into play, with a collector on site and talking to crowdsourced and cloud-based data. We will leverage machine learning and AI to identify the multitude of devices, whether they are active, headless, or IoT devices connecting in your environment. So whether it's an EKG in a hospital, a point of sale device in a retail environment, a wireless door lock in a hospitality setup, all of these are connecting back through our access point, which is acting now as an IoT gateway. We need a solution to profile this explosion of IoT devices, whether they are positioned for the return to the office solutions or otherwise. And this is where ClearPass Device Insight has a big role to play into providing visibility and profiling for those devices. After providing visibility and profiling, this is where ARUBA'S dynamic segmentation comes into play with the ClearPass policy management. So with ClearPass, we have dynamic enforcement, both unwired and wireless now, without the need to have any static setup on the port level, for example, on the switches. This is where you centrally define your context-aware policies that will depend, of course, on the context provided by ClearPass Device Insight and on your network access devices, including the switches, wireless controllers, WAN concentrator, VPN terminator, and so on, to identify your users, find out the attributes, and apply the enforcement policy that will lock down the security on the network and also reflect on the user experience, where the user is expecting the same experience regardless of the method they are connecting to. So this is where ClearPass Device Insight and ClearPass Policy Manager complement each other. And on top of our switching and or wireless LAN controllers and gateways, we'll have the full dynamic segmentation and dynamic enforcement story. So we have maintained experience through connectivity, we have maintained experience through visibility, we have maintained experience through the security. Now, how do we help also maintain experience through AI? This is the new addition and the new features that we are adding now on Central with AIOPS. AIOPS is artificial intelligence for IT operations. And this is where we take a big data lake, Aruba's data lake. It draws upon telemetry from more than 1 million network devices, 55 million connected clients, and more than 65,000 customers configurations worldwide, so that these contribute over to a 1.5 billion record that's updated daily for data that's analyzed by machine learning algorithms and mathematical models. And this is for understanding environmental factors, user and device behavior, traffic characteristics, user experience, so that these models power the self-driving and self-optimizing network. So now we have a self-driven and self-optimized network automated by the help of AI, with the core objective of two fields. So to provide users with stable, resilient connectivity, and to guarantee a great user experience and high quality of service. So all of these outcomes that you see over here are centered around maintaining a good user experience. So again, this is how we close the user experience and maintaining the security and experience for users with AIOps. Now with AIOps, we have many tools today. If you go on Central or on the new Central, you will have AI insights that will automate anomaly detection on the network and will optimize it for you. You can enter any query and using NLP, so natural language processing, it will do autocomplete. It will help you find what you're looking for, whether you're searching to troubleshoot or whether you're searching to configure or just look up the documentation on Central. It will be complemented by NLP queries. AI assistance is there to help collect information so that you can automate trouble ticket generation, so that Aruba Tech no longer needs to tell you, okay, give me your serial number, provide me with the output of this command, and give me the running configuration and so on. This is all now automated with AI Assist, as well as AI-driven device profiling for IoT visibility to drive the access policies, which will enable also the ClearPass Policy Manager to apply dynamic segmentation. So this is AIOps. Now, we've talked about so many pillars. We talked about connectivity, the user experience, security, AIOps. How do we simplify all of this? Now, this is where it all comes down under Central, under something called the Aruba Edge Services Platform Architecture. So the Aruba ESP now has all of the connectivity for IoT devices, for the WAN over the SD-WAN solution, wired and wireless, on the connectivity layer, managed by the SD policy through ClearPass family and dynamic segmentation to lock down the security, with every operational app and services running on top of it, with orchestration, provisioning on modern new devices, location context and services, AI insights and management running on Aruba Central. This is the new Aruba Edge Services Platform architecture, which is meant to simplify management. So there's no need now anymore to go and get the user experience insight, which takes information from the sensors, run it on a different dashboard than the dashboard I have for ClearPass Device Insight for visibility, than the different dashboard that I have for Central for orchestrating my SD-WAN, than the different dashboard that I have for managing my wired and wireless infrastructure. So all of these have been put on a central point of management, central pane of glass, where they are now on the Edge Services Platform architecture on Aruba Central. So we've talked about all of the solutions. How do we optimize the cost? Now, this is how, again, to revise the ESP, how it goes all together. All the network switches, Wi-Fi, SD-WAN, connectivity is coming on the unified infrastructure. We've locked down security using the Zero Trust security pillar. We've powered up operations through user insights, AI insights with AIOPS. This is where we can now wrap it with a financial consumption and flexible model for spending. And this is the second concern that you've highlighted in the poll. So this is where we talk about HPEFS, so HPE Financial Services, and GreenLake for Aruba. Now, with HPEFS, we do have multiple financing and asset lifecycle options like asset upcycling, accelerated migration, technology refresh options, payment deferral. Like, for example, we have a 2020 payment relief program that came out of the pandemic, as well as a GreenLake option for Aruba. Now, if you're not familiar with HPE GreenLake is a consumption model. So for Aruba, it becomes network as a service consumption model where you have connectivity and policy services based on a consumption model with the option to take intelligent operations and customer experience management solutions from Aruba as an added layer, in addition to the connectivity and to the security or to the managed policy services with GreenLake. So we have two very attractive options. And these, like, let's look at the HPEFS offers. For example, we have options to reduce or defer expenses by the payment deferral packages. So you can invest in a refresh or a greenfield project by reducing your cash outlays. So you deploy now and you pay later, or you start paying later. You can generate cash from existing assets where you free up investment from accelerating migration on your current environment. So it's sort of mortgaging your current IT infrastructure so that you can get the cash flow to implement, to accelerate a migration to a fresh infrastructure. Another option is like match payments to use. So we're extending deployments through securing the technology that you need, the critical technology, while aligning your payments to the deployment schedule. So you will have a beneficial deployment schedule where you can turn your CapEx cost of your deployment into an extended OpEx with also different options. Now, for all of these options and to engage the proper model, whether it's GreenLake or HPEFS, and which option to choose from either, please engage with Alpha Data over this. So I'm not sure, Sajeev, if you want to add anything on those financial services and GreenLake offers over here, if you want to add anything from your side.
And in fact, thank you, Fehmi. That options are available from Alpha Data, so as you said, and we will explore, and if there is any questions or anything comes from the side, or we can, after the session, we will be reaching out to all the attendees for the for their clarification if there is anything. So definitely we will take it. Thank you, Fehmi.
Okay, great. So so this is it, and I'm not gonna go back and say what's in it for us with Alpha Data and Aruba. It's just we want to, of course, bridge the physical and digital to increase the efficiencies and maintain and revolutionize the experience. Of course, with the business outcomes of maintaining experience, optimizing costs, and maintaining security, providing safety to return to the office, and extendability of and flexibility of the operation of the infrastructure. With that, I've come to the close of my side of the presentation. I want to open up for any comments, questions, if the panelists want to add anything from their side. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much for joining this wonderful session. On behalf of Alpha Data and Aruba, I would like to thank all of you for joining and spending time.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.